9 years of Etsy selling knowledge within 10 minutes. So I have a whole list right here of learning about Etsy through the years. And I'm not talking about just basic Etsy selling knowledge. For the most part, we're going to be going over sales, marketing, fulfillment, and things of that nature. We're not going to go over too much of the basic stuff because the importance of this video is helping you get sales. I will go through some of the basics that I feel may be important. And I'm talking about 9 years of knowledge. I'm not talking about like just basic knowledge of selling on Etsy. I've done well over 7 figures on the platform, and you can fact check me if you want. You can go through all my past videos, see where I've done 6-figure months and so on. Not only that, I'm taking knowledge from other sellers that I've also collaborated with. As you can see, I've also interviewed a lot of the top Etsy sellers as well. And I'm not talking about just over 6 figures. I'm talking about millions of dollars in sales. So if we're talking about sales on this video or on the channel in general, we're not just talking about sales from just luck. We're talking about sales from actual proven strategies. All right, so let me go ahead and go through this. There's going to be no particular order to it. I'll also put the chapter points down below. So if you feel like it's not relatable to you, or you feel like you want to skip on to the next thing, I'll leave the chapter points down below. And also it'll be helpful if you need a rewind to a certain segment. First things first, put your emotions to the side, because I know a lot of you new sellers will be working on new listings and you will become emotionally attached to these listings because you put your hard work into it and you feel like it's ready to go, but you will not get any sales, especially if you're just starting off. Almost every single listing tanks. It don't even matter if you do good on each and every single listing as well. Majority of your sales will come from your listings that look really well and get to the actual first page. So what does this tell you? This means that you need to have a large volume of listings. However, this is where things can go wrong really fast. I know a lot of people will say you need to get 100 listings up, you need to get 200 listings up. This isn't necessarily true if you're doing it wrong. A lot of times new sellers come onto the platform and they're listing hundreds of listings and they're saying they're not getting any sales and they're blaming everything else except for themselves. The thing is, you not only need hundreds of listings, you need quality listings. Yes, it can be true. You can have 20-30 listings, and if they are higher quality than someone who's putting out hundreds of listings and they are poor quality, then of course you're not going to get any sales, and the person with less volume of listings but higher quality will be the person who gets sales. So that is one big issue that I do see, is that a lot of people not necessarily get misinformed, but they take the wrong information and they run with that information a little bit too fast. So you don't want to take that type of information and run way too fast, because then you get burnt out and you don't even want to start over from the beginning. So this relates back to the fact that this is why product research is important. But product research is not everything. Product research is not what's going to get the customer to actually purchase and convert. You're not going to get a conversion just based off of product research. I know there are many videos out there, including my own, where you see the product and we're like, yo, check it out. This product is doing $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month. This shop is doing $50,000 a month. But none of that is important if you don't have your listing set up properly. So let's go ahead and break this out from the product research point. So here's a quick example and a quick walkthrough of using Everbee. This right here is a product research tool. They also have email as well, so you can also use this for email marketing. All right, so let's go ahead and check it out. Here's the inside look of their product analytics. As you can see, it's showing me multiple different types of products and the actual monthly revenues of those actual products. So this gives you an idea of the products that you should be selling, as well as giving you hints as what type of designs that you should be selling as well. Etsy is not a place where you come on here and spitball a cool idea and put it out there and you think it's going to get sales. Etsy is a marketplace. Customers are already coming on here, but they're searching for what they are looking for. This isn't a place for a brand where you want to truly build your own ideas and designs. There are cases where that can work on Etsy. However, that is a very small percentage. It's not going to work in the long run. So since it is a marketplace, you already have to have an idea of what people are looking for. And that's why a Chrome extension like Everbee is truly important, because this right here is going to let you know what people are already buying, which means customers are on here looking for those products. So for example, I'm going to click on this barbecue cutting board, and as you can see over here, here's the actual cutting board itself. So you know a cutting board is working out really well. You know this style design is also selling. But if we also go down, these are keywords that are trending that's getting customers to this actual product. So as you can see, people are looking for cutting boards. It does have a high volume of customers looking for their product. So just because you think barbecue spatulas are cool and you want to try to sell that out, it might work, it might not. But now we know of something that is proven to work. So that's why product research is important. However, it doesn't stop there. Just because you know what product is selling, what type of design is selling, that's not what's actually going to get the customer to actually convert. You have to look at the actual listing itself and have a nice setup and template so that the customer will actually convert. The power of selling on Etsy is the fact that Etsy is a trusted platform. So there's going to be a handful of customers that are regular Etsy customers and they know what Etsy is, so they trust the platform. But then there's also going to be a handful of Etsy Etsy customers that it's their first time checking out on the actual platform. And even if they are an Etsy regular customer, they're not your regular customer. This is probably going to be their first time on your Etsy shop. So they're going to come onto your listing and they're going to see why they want to purchase this product. And now it's up to you to actually convince the customer why they should purchase from you. So this includes setting up your listing properly by including images such as shipping guarantees, product guarantees, the specs and sizing of the actual product. What's the product made out of? Where is it shipping from? How fast is it going to ship? All those little things that you never really think about, or maybe you only pay attention to it here and there. Those are all the little things that add up to help a customer actually convert. So think about all those little details, because those little details build up to the actual conversion of the actual sale. Imagine if you're selling in person. You wouldn't just go as far as, here, check it out, here's my bamboo cutting board. You would tell them the size of the bamboo cutting board, how well it lasts after it's been washed. If it's personalized and you're selling in person, you're going to tell them how fast you're going to get the product to them, and you're also going to give them a guarantee. You're going to tell them if they don't like it, tell them to reach back out to you in X amount of days. Package that all up and turn it into a nice looking listing. And yes, that even means if you're doing fulfillment or print on demand, the original mock-up that comes with the print on demand platform, you got to make that look nicer as well. So for those of you all who don't know what print on demand is a fulfillment service. They print and they ship the products to your customer for you. So for those of you all who are starting and maybe you have a Cricut machine at home and you have an embroidery machine, or maybe you have some different type of product, yes, you can start with what you have. But if you don't have anything, you can start with print on demand. So the way that a print on demand platform like Printify works is the fact that they have all these blank canvases for you. When I'm talking about canvases, I'm not just talking about canvases. I'm talking about pretty much blank products that you can decorate. So there's mugs, there's blankets, there's mouse pads, there's desk calendars, there's even cutting boards on here. So all you have to do is add the product design to it, and they're going to print and create the actual product, and they'll ship it to your customer for you. And they show you the price that you pay the customer, and all you have to do is mark it up on Etsy, and then you collect the difference. So the pro of this is the fact that you don't have any inventory, but the barrier of entry is really low, so it can be competitive if you don't know what you're doing. And that's the importance of this video, is so that you do know what you're doing, so that you can actually get those first few conversions. Because it's not all about product research, although that is important. But just like I mentioned the listing template, all those little details are just as important. Everything that I'm going to mention is important so that it adds up so that you can get that customer checkout. But now I know what you may be thinking. Marketing. How can you do marketing? Well, when it comes to selling on Etsy, it's a marketplace. They already have customers. There's hundreds, thousands, actually millions of customers every single month coming to Etsy ready to check out. You don't need to do any external marketing. Honestly, it will be a waste anyways. You might get some customer checkouts here and there, but at the end of the day, these aren't your customers. They're going to end up being Etsy's customers, which is one of the cons of selling on Etsy. This is not your own platform. That's why you really don't need to do any additional marketing. You don't need to do any additional marketing outside of the actual platform. And that goes for paid ads outside of the platform. I'm talking about like Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and so on. And I'm also talking about organic as well. You don't need to go out there and dance and do TikTok videos and reels and so on. It may help you get some sales, but I would recommend if you're going to go that route, do it to a product that's going to go onto your own platform. And most of the time when I'm talking about your own platform, I'm usually talking about building a website on Shopify where you have to sit there and work on getting your own customers to your actual storefront. So if you do want to start on Shopify, I'll post a link down below where you can get started with just $1 using my link. Now on to the next thing, which is the dreadful truth, is that suspensions do happen. However, I have had my main account for 9 years now. No issues whatsoever. Won't necessarily say no issues whatsoever. I have had trademark infringements, and I've also had on other shops that has permanently got shut down. But here's the thing, I'm not intentionally going out there to infringe on trademarks. A lot of times on the platform, there are trademark bullies. Sometimes you'll be selling a particular design or certain keywords before other sellers start selling it, and those other sellers go take the extra mile and they'll go get the trademark for it, and they'll bully everyone on the marketplace who does not have the trademark. Now you can fight back, and a lot of the times I have won these situations, because a lot of times these trademark bullies don't even have the actual registered trademark. They just have the application part processed down. Because if you go apply for a trademark, they will give you a number to it, but that doesn't mean it's live and approved. However, Etsy will just go ahead and say that you do have a trademark because you have a number that you can go ahead and fight against all of these other sellers. And sometimes you don't even need a trademark to go tell other sellers that you're infringing on their art. So a lot of times this can can get out of hand. I don't do this on purpose. Like I said, I'm not actively intentionally trying to sell infringing items. Sometimes it's just one of those situations. And here's how one of my other shops got suspended, is because I have multiple sellers try to hit me with that trademark infringement mark at the same time. And this alerted Etsy one too many times within a short period time span, and it resulted in a suspension. And although I tried to fight that suspension, I was unable to get that account back. But my primary account, I've never had so many in a back-to-back case where I could fight it in time to get those marks off of my account. Now, here's another thing about suspensions. I know sellers who get suspended right off the bat, and this is a huge alarming issue. And honestly, I don't even have the answer for it, so this is just something to be alert of. One thing I would highly recommend that I know has helped a lot of new sellers is that when you do create a new account, don't sign into your Etsy account in multiple IP locations. Turn your Wi-Fi off if you're going to a Panera Bread or a Starbucks, and make sure your Etsy account's not getting entangled with other Etsy sellers who are also could potentially be on that same Wi-Fi. And one of the main reasons of this is because of the fact that Etsy system sees that there's multiple Etsy sellers who's logging on to this Wi-Fi, this same IP, and they think it's just a scammer or someone who's just trying to create multiple Etsy seller accounts. So that's one thing I highly recommend at first, is warming up your account on your own personal IP. Also opening your account on your own IP. Next, I would also recommend adding your shop policies as well. So go ahead and add all those terms and conditions onto your actual Etsy website. Next few things, as I mentioned, don't list something that's infringing on a trademark. I've already talked about that, but the next thing is look out for prohibited items. You might not even know the fact that what you're selling is probably prohibited. And I know a lot of you all are probably looking for YouTube videos because that's the best way you can consume material to learn. But a lot of times, Etsy has already answered most of these questions in their Etsy Seller Handbook. So if you do a deep dive into there, go ahead and take a glance at that, read paragraphs and paragraphs. Go ahead and read through that, and you will see which items are prohibited and how to stay in line as much as possible. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is fees. It does change over the years. It used to be a whole lot nicer 9 years ago, but you're on the marketplace, you're going with their rules. So here's from one of my master classes. This is a quick breakdown of fees and a breakdown of what it actually looks like. So you do have the offsite ads, which is this right here, and that's Etsy using the marketing to actually push your products onto Facebook, Bing, Google.com, and so on. So they charge you for that if a conversion comes through from that for your actual listing. And it's 12% if you've done already over $10,000 in sales on Etsy, but it's 15% if you're a new seller. And I believe you can turn it on or off if you're a new seller, but you can't turn it off if you are already an established seller. The next thing you have is the listing fee. So anytime you hit publish on a product, that's 20 cents. Anytime a product sells and the listing gets renewed, that's also 20 cents. Next, you have the transaction fee. So whenever your product sells, Etsy is going to take a 6.5% cut. And then the next thing you have is the processing fee, which is the credit card transaction fee. Now, processing fees, you can't really avoid that nowadays unless you have something directly with your merchant and your bank that you're going to use on your own website. But that becomes really confusing, especially even when you're setting up your own website, because most of the time, if you're even selling on Shopify, you're going to be using their Stripe processor and you're still going to be paying a transaction fee. So this right here is literally unavoidable regardless of where you go. So their processing fee, I believe, is 3.25% plus 20 cents per transaction. I could be wrong. And I'm also just assuming if you're in the US, because it can be higher if you're outside of this country. So that's a quick breakdown of fees. And I just want to rewind it back just slightly. One thing that I did talk about was suspensions. When it comes to this e-commerce world and entrepreneurship, I've realized nothing lasts forever. You could be doing good for a long time and it doesn't last forever. I've been fortunate enough to have my one Etsy shop last for quite a long time. And I do know how to open multiple Etsy shops as well. So that does help. But what doesn't last forever is super nice sales. Sometimes you'll hit $100,000 months and you could hit it back to back to back, but I'm not the type to make myself feel comfortable during that wave and just change my lifestyle because I'm making more money. One thing you need to do is bear through that nice era and wait till the dip comes back around, and then you can decide how much money you have and what you want to do with it. And one thing I did mention in the very beginning is that this is not a place where you build a brand. However, there are sometimes products that can relate to a brand that you can build around. I've seen a patriotic laser engraving company who built a full brand on Etsy, and they do fairly well, but it is personalized products, and that's that's a nice place where the product can live, because a lot of Etsy customers are looking for that particular type of product. So it depends what kind of brand that you have. But if you have a clothing brand where you want to get your message out there and you have your own unique designs, this isn't the place for that. But although I did say this is not a place for a brand, you do still want to keep your storefront nicely branded. Keep a nice color theme to it, keep a nice font, keep something that looks really fluid so that you do have a branding aspect to your actual storefront. And I will say this can be a downer for some of you guys, and I'm not just making this video just so I can tell you how beautiful it is in this world of Etsy, but I want you guys to know the truth, and I want you guys to get some real valuable information. The sky is not the limit on Etsy. There's not an unlimited earning potential on Etsy. I don't know any sellers, and I'm talking about $1 million sellers. I got a lot of friends in this field, including myself, who's done a lot of sales on here, that has done over $200,000, $300,000 a month on Etsy. There is a plateau, and every seller I know, it really caps at a few $1 million per year on a single Etsy shop. And when I say a few $1 million per year, I'm talking about $1 to $2 million per year. I don't know anyone else who's doing crazier numbers than that. You could even look at the data. With all these extra product research tools, you can go look at the top shops and see how much they've done last year. And you can do a rough calculation of how much they've made. And the reason being is because this is a marketplace, but it's not something substantially huge like Amazon, where you can make millions of dollars, and even in a single month. It will take Etsy to spend even more marketing dollars for them to be able to get you those types of sales. But if you put all the knowledge you've learned and you start to do everything right, and you know how to scale, and you know how to do the right things, if you're happy with anything between $30,000 to $100,000 a month on Etsy, then this can be a platform for you if you sit there to take the time to learn everything properly. So some of the last things I do want to add is the fact that there is a payment reserve if you are starting off. Now, this can hinder you because a lot of you guys might think you don't need any money to start off, but you do need a little bit, even if you're doing digital products, which I'll get to shortly. So if you do have a new account and if you make a sale, Etsy can hold that money for up to 30 days. It can't even be longer. I haven't had to deal with this in a while, so I really don't have an exact answer for you, but it can take up to 30 days. You can list your first products up for sale, and if it does get sold, then that money can be held until your product is shipped and delivered. And the reason why this is important is because the way I started off is I sold the product, and then I would take that money to go create the product, then ship the product to the actual customer. And a lot of you guys might be trying to do the same things, and even if you're using print on demand, using something like Printify, this can be an issue. So if you're selling something that's a more high ticket item, for example, if you sold an $80 product and you needed that money from the customer to fulfill the product, then you need to know for yourself that you need a little bit of additional funds to front the order first so that it gets to the customer so that you can get that payment from Etsy. Now, what kind of product should you be selling? This is where it relates back to product research. You're going to have to see what kind of product types are doing well, and then you're going to have to see the designs that do well. But the big difference is if you're selling a physical product and a digital product. Yes, you can sell everything in one storefront, but where it really gets confusing for a lot of customers, if you're selling your digital products inside of a store that also have physical products. Although most customers check out on the actual listing itself and never even really see your storefront, sometimes customers do get confused. They see you have a shirt for sale and the shirt's $20, and then they see you have the digital file for it for $3, and some customers, they just think they paid $3 for an actual t-shirt, even though it says digital product. So that is one thing that I would recommend splitting, is digital products and physical products. So with digital products as well, you don't need as much money, any capital for that to start up. The only thing you have to really worry about is the actual startup fees, and I do recommend paying for some type of product research platform, something like Everbee that I showed in this video. So I know I didn't go over everything because I think this video will be way too long, but I still have my 6 steps to Etsy success PDF for free. If you do want that, just comment that you want that PDF down below and I'll let you know how you can get that. And if this video helps you out, comment something else as well that this video was helpful. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, because that's 2 metrics that's going to help me post more videos just like this. Also, my name is Rich.